Well, welcome to our math review. In this section, these slides, we're going to go over legal descriptions, property taxes, and transfer taxes. Let's start with legal descriptions. A couple things we want to remember. Remember, there are 640 acres in a section. Every section has 640 acres. Gotta know that. We also have to know that there are 43,560 square feet in an acre. Okay, why do we have to know that? Who knows, but there's math questions based on it, so let's just remember that. Some people remember 3, 4, 5, 6, 0 with the 3 and the 4 out of place. Some people like 7, 11, 4 and 3, 5 and 6, 7, 11. Anyway, you have to remember it. Just remember there are 43,560 square feet in an acre. If you're given a problem where you have to solve for front footage, the front footage is always the first measure in a dimension. Doesn't matter if it's a larger or smaller number, it's the first dimension is the front footage. Okay, let's start off with one. Let's try to make this easy. How many acres are in the south half, the northwest quarter, the northwest quarter, the northwest quarter of section 12? And of course, as we know, all sections had 640 acres. So we start with that, and the first thing we do is take a fourth of 640. So 640 divided by 4 is 160. Now we take our northwest quarter, we just described, 160, and we take a fourth of that, and it's 40. And then we take a fourth of that, and that's 10, and we take a half of the 10, 5 acres. That's a 5-acre parcel. Here's the problem for us. Harold bought the south half of the northwest quarter of section 12. He paid $1,000 an acre. How much did he pay? So we start off with our 640 acres, and we have the northwest quarter. So if we take our 640 acres and divide it by 4, that's going to be 160 acres. Then we go to the next quarter, and we take our 160 and divide that by 4, so that's 40 acres. Then we take half of our 40 acres, that's 20 acres. So 20 acres times 1,000 would be $20,000. Sam bought the south half of the northwest quarter and the southwest quarter of the northwest quarter of section 36 for $500 an acre. How much did he pay? So we start off with, there are 2 parcels here. That's what that and means. So we have to do our computations 2 times. So we know that the entire section 360 is 640 acres. So let's start with the first part, the southwest quarter to the northwest quarter. Okay. So if we take 640, and we can either divide it by 4 and divide it by 4 again, or we can just divide by 16. That's going to be 40 acres. Okay, the next part is the south half of the northwest quarter. We can either take 640 and divide it by 4, and then divide it in half, or just take 8, 2 times 4 is 8. 8 into 640 is 80 acres. So one's a 40 acre, one's an 80-acre parcel. We put them together, that's 120 acres, or at your $500 an acre, so that's $60,000. Here he bought a parcel that was 250 feet deep, 425 feet wide, for $600 an acre. How much did this cost? Well, let's find out first, or remember first, that there are 43,560 square feet in an acre. So if we multiply 250 times 425, we get 106,250 square feet. And then we take that and divide that by 43,560, and that gives us 2.44 acres. If we take our 2.44 acres and we multiply it by our $600 per acre, it's $1,463.50. Property taxes. The formula for property taxes is we take the market value. First we find the market value. Usually it's given to us. Then we find the assessed value, which is a percent of market value. We multiply the multiplier to it. Then we apply our tax rate. And that's what we owe. So, what are the property taxes on a $655,000 home in a county that assesses property at 20% of market value, has a multiplier of 1.2, and a tax rate of $5 per 100? So our formula says start off with market value, $655,000. We are assessed at 20% of market value, so the assessed value for tax purposes is going to be 20% of $655,000 or $131,000. Now we put our multiplier, which is 1.2, and when we put our 1.2 on our $131,000, we have our multiplied assessed value of $157,200. So that's our new multiplied assessed value. Our tax rate is $5 per 100. So 1,570 times 0.05 would be $7,860. What are the property taxes on a $475,000 home in a county that assesses property at 30% of market value, has a multiplier of 1.5, and a tax rate of 42 mils? We start off with the $475,000, and we multiply 0.30 times 1.5, which is the multiplier, 0.042, which is mils, and it's $8,977.50. So what we're saying is that if you get a property tax problem and you're not sure what to do, just multiply all the numbers that you see in your problem. And that's what we did here. We just took every number and we kept multiplying it. So that's kind of the cheat sheet way of doing property taxes if you really don't know how to do them. Just multiply all your numbers and it'll tell you what your taxes are. Okay, let's move on to Illinois transfer tax stamps. These are the stamps that seller needs to purchase that get affixed or attached to the deed, and then when the deed is recorded, it'll be the monies will be distributed between the county and the state at that point in time. So this is a seller's fee. It's necessary to record a deed, and how. And our question then is, how much transfer tax stamps do we charge in each transaction? And the answer is, well, let's start off with our formula where we simply take the sale price of the property, and if there is an assumed mortgage, we're able to subtract the assumed mortgage out, and that gives us what's called taxable consideration. Now in real life, this doesn't happen a lot because in most deals there isn't an assumed mortgage, so the sale price and the taxable consideration are the same. But for the state exam, we want to know about assumed mortgages because that's what we're going to be asked. So we'll start off with the sale price, subtract the assumed mortgage, and we'll get taxable consideration. Remember that our tax rate is going to be 75 cents per $500 of this taxable consideration. So here's a problem. Property sold, $560,000. Purchaser's paying $10,000 in cash. He is assuming the seller's mortgage of $375,000, getting a new second mortgage of $150,000, and the seller's taking back a note for the balance. Now that all sounds pretty complicated. We only care about two things when we go into this problem. And here's what we care about. We care about what it sold for and what the assumed mortgage was. And of course we care about the tax rate that we're going to be paying. So we take our sale price, we subtract that assumed mortgage, and we get $195,000 of taxable consideration. This is what we base our tax on. So if we divide that by 500, that's 390, and then we multiply that by 75 cents for each of the 500s that are in our taxable consideration. So that's $292.50. That's the total Illinois transfer tax stamp that the seller's got to write a check for in this particular deal. Remember that 75 cents per 500 of taxable consideration actually goes 25 cents goes to the county, then 50 cents goes to the state. And then to take it one step further, that 50 cents that goes to the state, half of that goes to the Affordable Housing Fund. So half is retained by the state of Illinois, the other half of what the state gets goes to the Affordable Housing Fund. But our tax rate, the full tax rate, is 75 cents per $500. Do the math review in our student support site where we, on this particular section, where we have more problems for you, and you'll have a little more drill work there. Hopefully this will help you get started.